You know, I was gonna review this movie yesterday when I saw it, but I kind of had to take some time to process it. Christopher Nolan is back, the creator of Inception, Interstellar, and the Dark Knight trilogy. It's probably the biggest anticipated movie since the beginning of quarantine and this whole COVID craziness. Tenet. Whew, let's talk about it. So like I said, Tenet is a new film by Christopher Nolan. So basically, when you take a spy movie and the mind of Christopher Nolan and you put them together, you get Tenet. I wouldn't say this film is his most action-packed. I will say it's his most ambitious film. And I will say it is the most complex. So for instance, Inception took me about 3 viewings to completely understand, the whole plot of it and the whole level of dreams, where Leonardo DiCaprio's character was, going, and his motivations. Took me 3 times. Tenet will probably take me 5. In typical Christopher Nolan fashion, you don't really understand the film. It kind of explains itself as it goes along. But basically, it is about this protagonist, main character, that kind of gets a second chance at life and is part of this group, and they're called Tenet, that basically try to save the world from itself using time inversion. No, not time travel, time inversion. As you're watching the film, you could be like, oh, okay, this is time travel. Well, in reality, it's not. It's time manipulation, the inversion of time. So basically, when things are moving forward around you, you are moving backwards. And if you're moving backwards, things around you are moving forward. So it is completely and utterly the most complex movie I've ever seen. And it gets a little rough in the beginning. You're kind of playing catch up as you watch the movie. You're like, what's going on? Okay, this guy's doing this. Why is this happening? And then everything gets explained in the last hour and a half of the movie. The last act is killer. It's amazing. It kind of just, in regular Nolan fashion, it kind of just comes together and in an explosive way, and you're just like, whoa, what is happening? The main character kind of gets, the help from Robert Pattinson's character, which great performance by him, by the way. But you're wondering in the film, you're like, how does he fit in all this? Why is he here? Who hired him? What is going on? And obviously my reviews are spoiler free, so I'm not going to go into that. But he is kind of shoehorned in here, and if it didn't get explained at all, I would have probably docked it down of like his character was random. But it gets explained later, and you just gotta be patient and kind of just feel the movie out. And it's an amazing, amazing ride. I will say, I wish there was a little bit more time inversion in this movie. Not as much as I would have thought, but when it cranks up to 11 with action sequences and the time inversion, it really goes all out. And, typical Nolan, he doesn't really use that much CGI in his films. Obviously, Interstellar he had to in most scenes, but because it's space and everything. But and his Dark Knight trilogy and Inception, and obvious moments he uses CGI, but he tries not to. And so in this film, I don't think there's any CGI. So it's a lot of big spectacle action pieces that are just amazing, and even like the time inversion, they just, it's not, you could tell it's not super CG'd and stuff. So really, really fun time. I loved that part of it. It just felt more real. And usually we get Hans Zimmer to do a score for a Christopher Nolan film. He did it for the Dark Knight trilogy and Interstellar, and I believe Inception as well. We didn't get him this time. I forgot who did the score for this film, but it was not Hans Zimmer. But it still was a nice Christopher Nolan score. A lot of build up, very loud music, very like fast music, and kind of catchy, honestly. Also, the other thing I liked about this movie is that the protagonist really doesn't really know much about what's going on around him, and he learns as he goes, which kind of correlates to the audience. You're kind of learning how things work in this time-inverted world while the protagonist is learning them. And then you have the antagonist of the film, which obviously not going to say, because it kind of reveals him, whatever, but he knows everything about inverting time. And so he's kind of like the master in time inversion. And the protagonist is not. And so it's kind of like this cat and mouse game. He's slowly learning his ways and all that kind of stuff, which I really liked. But the antagonist moments of him kind of manipulating time, it can get a little confusing. You're just like, how did you do that? Like, you know, so, and, you know, Christopher Nolan tries to explain himself throughout the film with scenes of, you know, Robert Pattinson's character or some other characters that will explain to the protagonist what is happening and how time inversion works and how it's real in this movie. But still, it can get you like scratching your head. You're like, what's going on? So, in that way, it can be a little confusing. And obviously, the ending is just out of this world. I was like, what? So, like I said, I'm definitely gonna watch this film again. But for the ride I went on, the 2.5 hour ride, it was amazing. Truly amazing. So, Tenet, definitely different from Christopher Nolan's other films like Inception and Interstellar, but still had a great time. Very ambitious movie, very super complex movie, but it was really fun. I'll give Tenet a 8 out of 10. Go see this movie now in theaters. And if you liked anything I had to say, leave a like on this video. Helps me out a lot. Comment below if you're going to see Tenet, or if you've already seen Tenet, comment your thoughts. And I'll see you guys in the next review.